Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. Bruce Lee. My guest on this episode of Passing the Torch is Sydney Sullivan, host of Maximize the Moment podcast. Maximize the Moment is about maximizing what is inside you and expounding on all the moments every day in your life. I first met Sydney in August at a conference. He is very passionate about his own podcast and using his platform to inspire others. One of the reasons I started my podcast, Passing the Torch, is to help lift others. Podcaster, author of 2 books, speaker, and athlete. Without further ado, Passing the Torch with Sydney Sullivan starts now. First and foremost, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me. I see this big smile on your face, and I'm liking it, Sydney. I'm liking it, man.
I'm loving the opening quote. That's something you get motivated off the rip. So
yeah,
I'm excited. I didn't know where you were going to go with it, but that's exciting. That is Bruce Lee, but I can appreciate that.
But I have a black notebook that I carry around. Tons of different quotes I've heard over the years, and before each podcast, I'll go and look at that book. And that one just felt, I don't know, if it called me, I was thinking like, this just seems fitting for you. I'm excited you're here, man. Thanks for driving down, and I appreciate the fact that you took a lot of initiative at AFSA last month, and that's really how this started, was just you taking initiative and following through, and yeah, man, just props to you.
No, thank you for the opportunity, first and foremost, as well as everybody that's out there that has supported, civilian, military, family, but that's what it's all about. It's about initiative and being proactive. There's nothing but air and opportunity out here in the world, and if you don't step into it, no one's going to do that for you. And so besides the air and opportunity, it's about the partnerships. And so it took me a long time to learn that, that we're taught to strive for success. And Simon Sinek talks about there's all these self-help books in the library, but there's no section on helping others. And so once you realize that, I think my cup gets filled more with stepping in the gap for others and using the gifts that God has given me, and how I can move in humility, as well as get with other people that have great gifts and understand where my blind spots are. So I could be edified in the process.
Ooh, love it. I think that segues perfectly into your podcast. So please discuss, and just what you're doing, please discuss Maximize the Moment.
Yeah, so MTM, or Maximize the Moment, is a nonprofit that myself, Pastor Kevin Hill, Evelyn Hernandez, Ricardo Valdez, Danny Cox, all these people, they help. So it's not just a me thing, although I'm on the face of it. But we do podcasts, we have books, but it's all about John 3:30. So he must become more, I must become less. That's the foundational thing. So God must become more, and then he'll bring more out of me the more that I raise him up. The second level to that, the second tier that most people hear about that, is actually maximize the moment. Every moment not maximized is a moment minimized. So taking advantage of every opportunity that's out there, whether that's interpersonal relationships, striving to get better for personal growth, setting a growth mindset, developing others, all these things that we've done, from prison ministry to actually giving away scholarships at schools. Any way that God calls us to step in the gap, we're going to do that. And so it's a team effort. Like I said, I am the face of that company, but we're always looking at bringing more people in, because it's about maximizing the opportunity together and how we can go further, faster together. So that's what it's all about. So you can reach me on the podcast. You can see us on YouTube, but a lot of people know me from the social media and the motivation and the inspiration. But what we try to get to is, in this information age, going past the information to the application, which leads to the transformation, which leads to us where we need to go.
No, it's great, man. What'd you say again? If you don't maximize the moment, you minimize.
Every moment not maximized is a moment minimized.
Yeah, that's really good. And I think, before we started recording, we were talking about how sometimes maybe the best things that didn't happen for you or to you are actually the best things that may happen to you in a way. I wrote down some notes, because over the past month we've been texting back and forth, throwing around a few topics. All were interesting, but the first I want to talk about was actually something you just mentioned, was about the why is it so important to pour into the cup of others? because we live in an age now where people are just kind of like thinking, sometimes it's about, hey, I need to get mine, or I need to make sure I'm good first. I want you just to please expand on pouring in the cup of others.
Yeah, so very simply, I had a boss, two-star admiral, who described this practice for me, and he kind of put this in a nutshell, right? So as we're junior, people pour into our cups, and as we grow, people pour into our cups. We're clawing for more information, we're clawing for more knowledge, and in between, we start leading people, right? But then as we get to a certain point, right, our cups should be overflowing. And when that overflows, it should be falling down into the others. We should be giving back. And so to summarize, right, most 20-year successes most one-night successes are 20 years in the making, and we should always be planting seeds for the shade of trees that we'll never sit under. And so at the end of the day, that's what carries on. I'm big onto generational wealth, and I don't mean that just like in the financial wealth. I mean like development and growth. Like, so how can I carry the ball forward so that my son, my daughter, that person, that airman, that sailor, that Marine, that whoever can carry the torch, pass the torch forward, right, and carry the ball forward. So I'm big into pouring into others, because legacy is not just what you leave behind, but what others can accomplish because of you. And so how can I leave the bricks? How can I leave no stone unturned so that other people don't have to do that work and they can propel them faster or further?
I always put quotes I always do show notes for every episode, and one of the sections is quotes. And usually I maybe have 3 per episode. You've already have like 9, and like we're at 7:44, my guy.
I'm excited to be here, and that's probably where it gets. I get like amped
we got
up
this carousel or whatever, Ferris wheel in the background. I think it's in
it.
the shot. I don't know. No, it's great, but it's like the banners or whatever we see on Facebook, where people post like a yellow banner but have some like motivational quote. It's my cup is being filled with a bunch of motivational quotes by you. Something I did want to ask, because I have researched, I looked into Maximize the Moment. I was checking out your website, listened to your podcast with Josh White at Hero Front, who had a quick shout out. He did the intro to us, so big shout out to Josh.
Absolutely.
But to me, and this is something I've struggled with over the past, especially like 6 years, is to me that the toughest conversations we have are with ourselves sometimes, right? And I'm often, in the past, negative with myself and my thoughts. But as I started meditating, and for every negative, and focusing on like, hey, for every negative thought I had, I would give myself like, here's 2 positive affirmations, like, hey, you changed 4 flat tires today, right? Or just something like that, just because and for me, I found that useful. But how can someone replace their limited beliefs and confidence in favor of creating an empowered inner dialogue that ignites a success mindset? Because like, to me, you come across as someone who has a very positive mindset, which drives the inner mindset, which drives your outward success.
Okay, so I think that's a very deep question. There's a lot of reflection in that question, so I'm very sensitive to that. And what comes to mind, and it's not in my notes, but what comes to mind immediately is this. I'll share a story with you, and everybody knows I like talking through stories. So,
yeah, do it.
So there was this young man. He wanted to go out trick-or-treating with his brothers, and his parents told him no. He was too young, and the young man got extremely angry. He ran outside through the door, and he punched a tree, and he was punching this tree until his knuckles bleeding. Well, the young man comes back inside. He goes upstairs, and obviously he is upset. He's physically upset. He's crying. He's just in tears. And his mother comes upstairs, and she shares a Bible verse with him. And the Bible verse is, he that conquers a city, he that conquers his soul is greater than one that conquers a city. And so that young man grew up to be Dwight Eisenhower. And going into World War II, that was actually one of his reflection points, was that verse. And so how can we conquer our souls on a daily basis? What are those things that I need to get over? Where are those generational gaps? Where are those? Sometimes we connect the dots looking forward by looking backward. So we look back at the generational gaps. We look at the things that maybe our parents accomplished, or our relatives, or whoever is within our line, that support system, or maybe not support system. Maybe you don't have anything there. And then what are the first steps incrementally that I can take to move forward? Another Bible verse that I cling to is, just as the water reflects the face, so does one's heart reflect your life. So motives shape perceptions, which shape behaviors. So I believe deeply that our motives and our actions and behaviors are driven from what's in our heart, from what's in our why. And so understanding your purpose, understanding your why, understanding why you're here on this planet, understanding why you're doing certain actions, why you react to certain situations is super huge. So self-awareness is curative in terms of putting things in order in your life, and curative in terms of healing. So the more self-awareness I can get, the more then I can step into the gap with others and pour into the cup of others.
I love it, man. How many podcasts have you done?
You know what? I think we're somewhere over 200.
Yeah.
Yourself and Josh are the first invitations that I've actually taken.
Maximize the moment, I know, because I mean, yeah, you guys have had a ton of, I saw them, it was definitely like, I think 254 or something like that when I looked it up. I know it's definitely over 200. But yeah, like guest-wise, that's what I meant to ask you, but yeah.
So guest-wise, no. So I'll speak. Like I said, I'll go to prisons, I'll go to ALS,
yeah.
and I'll do all kinds of speaking. But as far as like podcasts, there have been people that have reached out, but after like looking at Josh, looking at yourself, what you stand for, and that's why I kind of poke and prod, because we got to be principle-driven. We got to be value-driven, and those principles are going to draw practices, so all the activities in which we follow through. And so I can appreciate, shout out to Josh at Herefront, I appreciate the activities and stuff he's involved out. Shout out to you, Martin, and that's why I say I'm super grateful and appreciative. I think we share in the same value system, as well as pouring into others. And so if we can highlight each other and edify each other, then I'm all about it and moving forward together.
I think hopefully you start doing more guessing on other podcasts, because this is only going to organically grow and just get your message out to more people, right? I mean, you're doing successful things. I mean, it's cool to see, man. Like, and I love the photo art that you had. You have the hat on, and you're like Superman. And it looks. I was like,
that's how I feel. I feel like I'm breaking out, but I want it to be value added, right? I never want to be one just to talk, and so that's part of stepping in the gap. Sometimes listening is learning, and when we were at ASA, right, the Navy chief, the command chief, he was talking about be a learn-it-all, not a know-it-all. So the more that we can learn from each other, the more we can grow. And then when it's time to speak, then we'll speak.
Yeah, I remember that as well. Isom, I think, is his name, or his last name. But yeah, when he said, I was like, man, because there's a lot of, in my career field, some active duty military, in my career field, there's a lot of know-it-alls. And I'm like, all right, team, like, we got to settle down, man. Like, not everyone knows everything. Something else, you'd send me some show notes, but there's a couple. I had some topics. I was like, how can I incorporate the two? When you feel focused and overwhelmed, what do you do to kind of reset and regain like your momentum?
So if I'm feeling off, then I usually know that I'm not moving in ruthless prioritization. So that was something one of my mentors has taught me, like ruthless prioritization. We talked about work-life balance and all these things. I love what Jim Collins, who wrote Good to Great and Built to Last, right? I listened to him. He did like an impromptu video, but he was talking about harmony, but in a percentage-wise, right? So 50% of his day is dedicated to innovation and his job and whatnot, and 20% of his day is dedicated to his family. 10% of that is managing white noise, and then like the other 30 or 20% or whatever is left is dedicated to creativity. And so if I know that I'm off or I'm feeling off tint, like, where am I overcompensating in one of those buckets? Like, am I not spending enough time with family? Am I not spending enough time in the Word in the morning or reading books that are going to edify me? Am I not having meaningful conversations? Am I just go?
Yeah.
So understanding, if I look at your checkbook and your calendar, then I know what you value, right? Wherever you spend your money and wherever you spend your time, I know what you value. So where am I spending my money and where am I spending my time? And then reflecting on that, and that really will provide the answers that I need as far as where I'm spending my time. So
mine is podcast equipment and garage gym equipment, both which have cost me money. I make $0.00. So I don't make any money from this podcast. And I think when I did my outro I did an episode with Chad Goff, Chief Master Sergeant Chad Van Cleve Goff, and in my outro for that, I'd ask for people to subscribe because I don't make any money from it, but I do this because I love it, and it's a platform, as we discussed, to give other people an opportunity and connect and share a message. So I spend a lot of money on podcast equipment because I do like it. that's always fun when my wife sees a new Amazon box at the front door. Separate from that, I'm an eater, so I love to eat. I work out so I can eat.
Sure.
But I love having a garage gym, and I've spent a lot of money over the 15 years or so since I've had one. But I sent you a video of some.
That's right. Arnold was in the gym.
Yeah,
I'm a big gym guy too.
Yeah, man.
And that's kind of shifted. I definitely have played athletics all over the world and stuff like that. So that was always kind of a stress relief. But I think more is I'm in this season of learning and growing. One thing I like to share with people is obviously never let life happen to you. And so where does that come from is life was happening to me when I was at Scott Air Force Base, and I was managing things. Shout out to the MDT that was there at that time and the leadership at that time. But I was working all these long hours, and we were trying to pilot a program and try to do new things.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not getting my gym time in, right? I'm not de-stressing. I'm not getting that eustress that I need. And so I decided to get up very early in the morning, just like you talked about, 4 a.m., right? And I was getting up at 4 a.m., and I would go to the 24/7 gym at Scott. And for the first 2 weeks, I was kind of disoriented. I didn't really lift in the morning. I really wasn't paying attention to my environment. But after that 2 weeks and that ambiguity cleared, I started seeing who was in the gym. And it was the wing commander, and it was the transcom commander, and it was the chief, and it was these people that were the top 1%, according to our military structure. And so it made me think a lot about how I orient my mornings. And so one thing I like to tell young airmen or people in general is start your day before you start your day. So I'm big on reading or working out in the morning, but I preferably read the Bible, and then I read something that is going to help me learn, whether it's on the business side, cyber side, whatever the case is. And if I can get a workout in, cool. But I start my day before I start my day. I always start edifying my mind or putting something that's going to challenge me at first. And then by the time I'm stepping into work, I'm already locked and loaded, and they're like, where's this guy coming from? Well, I started 2-3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a method to that. Like I said, in the 1% we're in the gym. And if I was like, what's the delta? And so they were starting their day. They got their days are just chock full of their calendars and stuff. Right. And so that's one tip I would give people is don't let life happen to you. Start your day before you start your day. And
that's
you'll
great.
Be ready to go.
I typically do squats. So I do traditional routine, so your Monday through Friday bodybuilding split or whatever you want to call it, but I do legs on Monday and Monday mornings, right? So There's something about squats on a Monday, but it sucks, but it makes the rest of the week easier, because that to me is going to be one of the hardest things, especially I live in Ohio in the wintertime. It gets cold, much like Maryland, absolutely. Right? Mm-hmm. But man, doing squats on a Monday morning when it's 25 degrees outside, but I feel like it just makes me tougher.
I love it. Yeah, Mark Twain says, eat the frog, right?
That's right. He sure, yeah.
That's right. Get the hardest part of the day.
I'm like Clubber Lang in Rocky 3. I'm just doing pull-ups on the beam, and I'm training. I'm proud of you, man. And I think this is the blossom of a new friendship, relationship. A year from now, we're going to meet up. I want you to think about this, okay? So a year from now, we'll both be at AFSA or maybe AFA next year. We're celebrating. We're having enjoying steak.
Do I? Depends on the type of steak.
All right, what's your go-to?
I'm a big pizza and wings guy.
Okay, we're having pizza and wings. We're super excited, and it's a joyous occasion. We're celebrating.
Yeah.
All right. A year from now, what are we celebrating?
How we got 365% better.
Ooh, that's good.
That's it. 1% every day. Chris Nickett, that's my man. I don't know if you've heard the story. Chris Nickett, that's my guy. So Chris Nickett, you've heard of the Ironman marathon? Of course you have. Yeah. So athlete, right? Athlete. So Ironman's obviously one of the toughest competitions that is out there, besides for David Goggins, right? Because he just kills everything. But
he's not human.
He takes souls, if you've heard his book. But Chris Nickett. So back to the Ironman. Yeah. 112-mile bike ride, 2-mile swim, 26-mile run. Chris Nickett was the first person with Down syndrome to complete the Ironman. And he did this in about 16 hours. He gets to the end of the run. Everybody's cheering. And they're like, hey, what are you going to do next, Chris? And he's like, I'm going to get 1% better. That's his why. Is every day I'm going to get 1% better. So we're going to meet here at AFA and another beautiful view next year. And how did we get 365% better? How did every day we took that incremental step to get better and better and better and better? And so we're celebrating.
365% better. That might be the name of this episode. Hey, wrapping up, I have some miscellaneous questions. There's no rhyme or reason. I'd like to have fun. I like to ask these on podcasts, right? And I do switch them up. What's a random question you would ask at dinner to a stranger?
A random question that I would ask at dinner, a guest at dinner. What would be something random? I don't know. So right now it's football season. What's your favorite football team?
Okay, let me switch it up on you. You're having a dinner party, and the entrees are pizza and wings. But it's a real classy dinner party. You can invite 5 guests, past or present. Who are they?
Jesus, Gandhi, MLK, my father, and Winston Churchill.
I quote him a lot. Winston Churchill. So, yeah, that's good. In the last 5 years, what new belief or habit, besides the 1% gym, what new belief or habit has most improved your life?
Oh, that's a tough one because there are so many. Ooh. Right now, I'm locked into the domino. So you probably heard the domino speech already, but yeah, I'm locked into the 2-inch decision. That's changed my life. It's incremental decisions. And so I don't know if you want me to share the story or not.
Do it, man.
But
Share.
Okay. All right. We can get into it. It's one of my favorite. You know what? I brought you a domino. I didn't plan on telling this story, but I brought it because I figured we may talk.
Do it, man. Thank you for this. I've heard about this. Josh told me about this. So.
He told you?
Yeah.
All right. Where you going to get it? It's here we go. So I used to travel in South America and around the Caribbean.
Okay.
Obviously, down there, they play a lot of dominoes. It is a part of their culture. It is ingrained within their culture. And I loved it. And I learned how to play dominoes from a team perspective. And so there was the teaming aspect there because in America, we play like individually around the table. But my mentor said there's something interesting about a domino that is 2 inches in size, but it can move something that's 1.5 times its size. So a 2-inch domino can move a 3-inch domino, can move a 4.5-inch domino, and so on and so forth. And so by the time you get to the 26th iteration, you can actually knock over the Washington Monument. By the time you get to the 23rd iteration, you can actually knock over the Leaning Tower of Pisa. By the time you get to the 27th iteration, you can actually knock over the biggest building in the world, which is the Burj Khalifa. Have you been there?
I have not.
So the Burj Khalifa is in Dubai. It's twice the size of the Empire State Building. It is so tall that you can watch the sunset from the bottom, and then you can take the elevator all the way to the top and watch the sunset again. Why am I talking about dominoes and Burj Khalifas, and where's the principal at, Selly? Like, where are you even going with this? So we all have goals and dreams and things that we cling to. We have big, audacious goals, things that scare us, just like that Burj Khalifa that's bigger than us. We have our own Burj Khalifas, but it all started with a 2-inch decision. It all started with a little domino. It takes me no more than my pinky to knock over that domino, but it has exponential outcomes on everything we do. You can look it up on Google. We make tens of thousands conscious and unconscious decisions on a daily basis. Those are micro habits, micro decisions that we make on a daily basis. And every time I engage with my daughter, my wife, I engage with you and Josh and so many phenomenal people that I'm going to meet at AFA and ASFA, like, I'm always making a 2-inch decision, whether it's having an attitude of gratitude, smiling at somebody, shaking somebody's hand, just pouring into them, praying from whatever I got to do to step in the gap with you. I'm making a 2-inch decision. So I always challenge somebody, what is your 2-inch decision? And I keep that in my pocket every day. People are like, why are you jingling all around in your pocket, Sully? Well, I got these dominoes to remind me that I'm always making 2-inch decisions.
I've never heard about it with you and Josh, right? But up until that, but hearing that story, I never thought about it like that. It's the perspective, and it's an excellent point. I mean, it's just, yeah, you're right, man. That's fantastic.
So I'll double down on the principle as far as there was a writer, and he was riding by the seashore. And he decided to go for a walk one day. And he gets out to the beach. He's this old man, and he's seeing the sun is coming up, but the sun is quite not up yet. It's at sunrise. So he starts walking down the beach. He feels the breeze on his face, but he sees a figure in the distance, and he's like, what's going on? And he gets closer. He still really can't make it out. And he gets a little bit closer. He sees that it's a person. And he sees the person is reaching down to the ground, but he just doesn't quite understand what's going on. And then he gets closer, and it's a young man. And he's picking up starfish, and he's chucking them into the ocean. So he gets to the young man, and he says, what are you doing? Well, I'm trying to get as many starfish off this beach. And he looks down the beach, and there's thousands and thousands of starfish. And the man says, like, there's no use in picking up all these starfish. You need to stop doing that. And the old man starts to walk away. And the young man looks at him, and he smiles, and he picks up another starfish, and he throws it into the water again. And he says, I may not be able to help all the starfish, but I can help this one, and I can help as many as I can. And so that's the idea of like being selfless and stepping into the gap with others. I can't be Captain America and save everybody, and I'm not trying to save everybody, but I can do what I can when I can and help as many as I can, as long as God gives me breath on this earth.
That's amazing. I feel like you've already. So I have one last question.
It's
a question asked on every single podcast. I feel like you've already answered it, but I'll throw it up there anyway. If there's a giant billboard that you could place anywhere in the world with your message on it for the world to see and read, what would your message say, and where would you place the billboard?
Jesus. That's it.
Jesus.
That's it. Jesus saves. That's it.
Where would you place it?
On top of the Burj Khalifa.
I figured as much, but no, good deal, man. Again, just thank you. I know we probably didn't get to. There's so much more. This is only the first of many podcasts that we can do together.
Absolutely.
But I wanted to have you on, just kind of introduce you to my audience, and for us to build a connection, and really just set a stone for the house that we're going to build together. I'm not quite as good with the metaphors and phrases or quotes as you, man. But I'm excited for you. I'm proud of you, man. So just keep grinding. I respect you, and it's awesome to see you have an infectious, positive attitude. And just thanks for being on my podcast.
No, thank you. And if you don't mind, I'll share one last
thing.
Do
it, man. Go for it.
Just because you touched on it, and I realized I was wearing the shirt. Moving into this season, I'm in a big season of Be Contagious. And so we all went through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Right? And it was something that the world has never seen before, globally. And COVID-19 is contagious, right? And so I challenge everybody to be contagious. I was out running on a track in Niceville, Florida. I was visiting the high school there, Niceville High School, and they had 3 words on there. They had energy, enthusiasm, and effort. And so when we are contagious, being contagious means something that spreads from one organism to the next, or from one thing to the next. And one thing we could do as leaders, as people, is be contagious. We can have energy, we can have effort, we can have enthusiasm. So you can be tired, like, right? We all got families, we got things that we're responsible for. We're all carrying our own crosses and stuff. But we can be contagious. That's within our decision space. We can have enthusiasm. We can have great attitudes. We can have great effort, the way we exude ourselves. We can have great energy, right? The vitality in which we approach something that we attempt. So we can be contagious. And so I want to appreciate you for being contagious and having an influence on me and so many people that are out here that are benefiting from this message and this audio. But like, I love it. Better has no finish line.
Right,
There's
man.
no expiration date on greatness. And so you're being great. Josh is being great. There's so many people that are listening to this as being great. And I just hope one day that I can add enough value to be great enough to pour into other people's cups.
Hey, if people want to learn more about you, where should they check you out? Where can they find you?
So I am very open. So you can reach me at mtm.inspiration@gmail.com. You can reach us at the podcast. You can reach us on YouTube on mtmyoutube.com. You can phone a friend. I'm the only Sydney Sullivan in the gal. If you're military, 703-835-2540. I'll hit you with some morning inspiration or try to connect with you or however I can serve in the best way possible. So I'm on Instagram, Facebook at Sydney Sullivan. You'll find me. I'm there and I'll connect.
Perfect, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Man, that's awesome. Good stuff, man. That concludes another episode of Passing the Torch. Big thanks to my guest, Sydney Sullivan. If this is your first time listening to my show, here's a quick bio about me. I am active duty military and have served for 21 years. I started this podcast in January of 2018 because I've met so many wonderful people in my life. I love meeting new people, having conversations, learning their history, and sharing their story. If you want to support and you enjoyed the podcast, it would mean the world to me if you could follow, rate 5 stars, and leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts. If you are someone who listens on Spotify, please follow and rate 5 stars on there as well. If you found value in the episode, took something away from the conversation, and appreciated the insight, chances are there's someone out there who may as well. So I appreciate it when you share. You can text the episode to a friend and tag me and Sydney Sullivan on social media. Let me know what you were able to take away. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. And finally, remember, vision, relate, develop. Take care, everyone. Foster out.